Hi guys, it's Sarah Trivedi. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Beauty and the Beast Belle Princess dress cake. And as always, it's fondant free. I usually put my cakes on a silver or black cake board, but sometimes for a special occasion, I like to have a decorated cake board. Some people decorate with fondant or frosting, but that tends to go to waste, and I find that the easier solution is to actually paint on the back of a cake board and wrap it with some clear gift wrap paper. That way you can paint as much detail as you want. I used two 8.5-inch marble cakes, and I outlined the edge with some blue buttercream as a barrier so that none of the chocolate frosting that I put inside could seep out. Then I added some chocolate frosting, and on top of that, I love to add a surprise. So in this case, I crushed up some score! So you just gotta smash that in with a mallet, or you could just use a rolling pin and be boring. And then I added a little more chocolate frosting to the top of the score so that the next layer of cake could actually stick onto something. I put some blue buttercream inside a piping bag fitted with a quick icer tip, and then I frosted the cake. To make the cake really smooth, I dipped my offset spatula into some hot water, wiped it off, and then smoothed out the cake with it. This is a damask pattern stencil that I just gently pressed onto the cake. And for extra security, I added some toothpicks to either side. Then with some yellow buttercream that I added extra milk to make it more fluid, I spread it onto the stencil, and then I slowly peeled it off. Some of the pattern didn't actually stay, but if you aren't happy with any bits, you can always just take a writer's tip and fill it with some more yellow buttercream and just fix up the design here and there. And now it's time for the doll part. I just used one of the Barbies that I have at home that I don't play with, but they're just there for decoration. This one has brown hair, and I just tied the back with a little clip so that she had a little poof. And then I painted her lips red because she had beige before. I made my own cake board by just cutting out a 6.5-inch circle out of cardboard, and then I just wrapped it with foil. I also cut a hole in the middle. Then I cut out a rectangle out of a 7-inch marble cake for the Barbie to fit in. And then I created a barrier and filled it again with chocolate buttercream and crushed score. And then I cut out a rectangle out of a cake layer that I baked inside a Pyrex glass bowl and added that onto the cake. Next, I put a thin layer of yellow buttercream around the entire cake. This is called the crumb coat because it captures all the crumbs so that they stay in place. Then I measured some thin wooden dowels and cut them to the right height of the cake and placed them into the center of the cake. I also added one thick dowel into the middle of the cake. And then I added the doll cake onto the blue cake, making sure that the thick dowel went through the hole that I created in the doll cake. This is because the cake is so tall, I didn't want it to wobble out of place. So that dowel in the middle will keep the doll from moving here and there, especially when you're traveling. And then I tied the doll's hair up and made sure that her arms were up so that it didn't get into the frosting. I outlined a corset with my writer's tip and then just filled it in roughly and smoothed it out with my fingers. And then I added the Barbie into the hole in the cake. Next, with a large rose petal tip, I piped ruffles onto the bottom of the cake by moving my wrist away from the cake and then towards the cake. Then I created large swags around the cake by creating U-shapes. And then I overlapped these, but I made sure that each swag was right on top of the next one. When I got close to the top, I used a small rose petal tip and created a ruffle border with a design that I marked already with a toothpick. Again, the motion is just moving your wrist away from the cake and then towards the cake. Then I added one final row of swags to the top of the cake, attaching her corset to the dress. Then I took her arms down and arranged them in the front. With an even smaller rose tip, I piped soft U's to create the off-the-shoulder look that she has, from the middle of the chest to the back of her arm. And then I let her hair down. And then it's pretty much done. I added some extra details like a rose where her hands are and red dots above each of the peaks of the ruffles. You don't even lift? I only did beasts! And it's done! I hope you enjoyed this video. You could always just make the doll cake only without the blue cake underneath, and the doll cake alone could actually feed 15 people. Subscribe if you want to see more videos related to cake decorating, singing, or dancing. And stay tuned for the next cake video, which will be a little on the easy side, but will still be a crowd pleaser.